Right, hello. I think once again this should be us live on the official Off-Grid dev stream. Thanks for joining us. Give us a wave in the chat or on Discord if you're here watching, just so I know I'm not alone. Welcome. Well, it's nice to be here. Obviously, I was away last week, busy in Portugal of all places, giving a couple of talks. Hopefully, a few of you managed to catch that. It was a lot of fun. I spoke about why you should let your modders do the talking in game dev. So, especially with a game like Off-Grid, I was talking about how essentially, if you want to talk about a complex subject in any level of depth, inviting your audience in to talk about it from their perspective is probably the most effective way of really giving that that story or that theme a run. Ultimately, because your audience is going to be more expert in that than you are. You know, as a developer, me, Steve, and Pontus, who are the core devs, and then Sophie, who's the artist, and Josh, and Sarah, who does community and biz dev. We've all focused on making games rather than on what games are made about in terms of theme. Obviously, hopefully, we're a little different to many developers in some sense because we actually come from sort of open source communities and have been involved in hacker culture and have generally sort of paid attention to this subject matter probably in more depth than your average, probably even your average AAA developer. Cough, cough, watchdogs. I think we've probably done a little bit more research, but certainly for your indie team, and that's largely because, you know, people who are living and breathing, let's say, information security or hacking, they're not making games. They're doing their thing. They're popping boxes. Hey, Tugalaw, we got a hot mic. Howdy. There we go. I hope I didn't say anything inappropriate or clear my throat in a disgusting way while the mic was hot. So how do I pronounce that? Tugalaw? Tugalaw, we'll say. Thanks for popping in. So, yeah, I was just getting at where I've been, what I was up to, why we had we had streams. You had multiple streams last week as we put Steve's talk up. Steve talked about going from AAA to indie twice. That's Steve, our main programmer. I pronounced it right, good. Well, as soon as I've got you in here, is my sound okay? Like, can you hear my voice clearly, and is the music in the background at the right level? That would be good to know. Ping me in the chat to let me know. So yeah, Steve gave a good talk on his experience over the last 10 plus. I think he's been making video games professionally for near 15 years, maybe 13 or 14, but a good while. And so in that time, he's worked at some of the UK's biggest and best studios, and he's also then gone on to do smaller projects with smaller teams at various times. So the first one being at Red Redemption, who have got nothing to do with Red Dead Redemption by Rockstar. They were a sort of small outfit in Oxford who made a very cool strategic card game about climate change, and you kind of played this world government who was using Black Ops to try and save the world in its own way. You could try and play it as a good guy and use policy, or you could undermine governments that were polluting too much, and you basically had to try and get to zero carbon emissions as a society ahead of peak oil and the collapse of society. So it was a cool game. Anyway, he talked about his experience there and how the game sold very well. It did over 100,000 units for an indie game, but it took a long time to make and it took a big team, and the studio ultimately didn't stay open. Music is slightly high. Yeah, let's drop the music down a little then. hopefully that'll make it better. So Steve got the biggest round of applause over the weekend. There was 2 tracks of talks for 2 days. You can see his talk on our Twitch channel here in the videos. I'll be putting it up on YouTube soon as well, and I'll ping that in the Discord. As again, if you're sort of stumbling in here not having come from the Discord or Twitter, then basically those 2 places are the best places to see the kind of content updates that we're up to, and this and the other. And then at Game Dev Camp, I also gave a talk about modding and how to essentially empower your modders to talk about the subject matter you want to explore with you. And I had a pretty cool on-stage interview with a guy called Alex Calvin from PC Games Insider, who is going to be writing up an article on us next week. So watch this space. I'll share that with you guys when we get there. Talking of next week, some pretty big news. As you probably all know already, we've been working pretty hard on getting a Kickstarter together, a campaign, knowing who we want to nudge on press, who we want to get to maybe do a couple of Let's Plays. That's slightly more up in the air because the demo is something we're completing at the moment, so we're just getting that over to them. There will be a playable demo for you all. It's limited in scope, and it has some new features that we pushed into it recently, so it's very much one of those pre-release build situations where it's going to have some bugs, but hopefully it's got some fun for you as well. And I was going to start by actually showing you guys a bit of what we've been up to. One of the things that I've been working on personally in the last couple of days is lighting. So I'll maybe pull some of that up and I'll find that for you. Where are we? Let's pull Unity up. That'll be the easiest way of doing this, I think. Maybe we'll grab a copy of the game. So yeah, I guess the big news is the Kickstarter. If you're not on the mailing list or in the Discord, please jump on either of those. That's the best way for us to get hold of you. I don't know, depending on what your background is, you might know that Kickstarters kind of live or die by their first 24 to 48 hours. We need to get a big upsurge of people interested and backing the game in that period of time, and the easiest way is for us to be able to do a mail shot or a big shout at everyone on the Discord and try and charge everyone towards backing the project. Yeah, so please get on one of those 2 channels, and that makes it easier for us to connect with you. So give me a sec, I'm just opening Steam up so I can run a build of Off-Grid. So yeah, I suppose I didn't actually say my name. If you haven't come across this stream before, if this is the first time, my name's Rich Metzen. It's fairly obvious from the big background behind me what I'm making. It's a game called Off-Grid. It's a stealth hacking game. Yeah. What am I doing, Luke Pyro? What am I doing right now, or what am I doing in terms of dev and what I've been up to today? In terms of dev today, I'm about to show you. I'm just going to launch the game. Hopefully this will all look alright. There we go. Shift things around a little bit actually. Oh, that screen is huge. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm going to launch the game again because I've launched it in widescreen. Well, you can see it in widescreen, I suppose. It's kind of fun seeing it in extra wide. Sorry about the crossover of the sound. I'll just turn the off-grid music down in the background. Here we go. Oh, you'll see a loading screen for a moment. So, just reading from my streaming notes, my little doc. I was going to take you through, this idea of the lighting and how that works. I mean, Off-Grid's a stealth game, right? So let me pull the game up so we can jump through. This is going to take a moment to load. And grab that. Oh, well, let's hope the hot plugging works. It should be alright. Little loading screen here. Yeah, Off-Grid's a stealth hacking game. There are other third-person hacking games on the market. Some of them don't focus on stealth that much. They're more about blowing people up and things. We basically wanted to make a game where hacking and data collection is the most important thing, and we wanted to make a game where data privacy is kind of the core thing. Hang on a sec, this is taking a moment to load. And we thought, well, the best way of making a game about data privacy is to make a game whereby you have to hide your data. So, essentially, the name of the game is collecting the data of other characters and covering your own tracks. And in that mix is actually physically hiding yourself as you infiltrate different buildings and places. The main character, Joe, I might have to start this build again, I'm afraid. It's going horribly slow. The main character, Joe, is sort of a technophobe, and he's given a set of Google glasses by his daughter at the beginning of the game that he can see data and networks with. And one of the things that happens is you end up being given like a set of different hacking tools, and as you progress through the game, different tools become available. And the one that you get given when you first start up trying to sneak through different levels is like a light monitor app, so that you can, like, you know how your camera on your phone, you can get it to register how much light is in the room. Well, the idea is that would be quite useful for people who were also sneaking about rather than taking photos. So we essentially set it up so that, here we go, let's see. So that you could use that as a tool for finding out whether you're in shadow, whether you need to hide or not. Sounds like the game has loaded now. There we go. Here we go. Yeah, the setup is that your daughter has been taken for being up to hacking shenanigans. What's your stand-in name for the Google glasses? That's a good point. We've called it iOS. Haha, you see what I've done there? And funnily enough, the sort of Arch-based security-focused distro that you use is called Black iOS. So that's your sort of operating system, and AR operating system and AR hacking tools are based on iOS and Black iOS. But you're right, we should probably come up with a name for the actual piece of hardware. Suggestions in the comments, I suppose. So these are the conversations, you're being guided. There's a bug there to do with the files you've been sent. We've been working on tutorializing some of this stuff a little better, so you can see a few more modals here as well. But yeah, one of the things that it sort of tells you about is your file inventory, and sort of answering your question to galore. No video. Really? Oh my. That's just me not pressing the right button. It's alright, you didn't actually miss very much. Because I was just getting to the meat of it. So now you should be able to see the video. If we pop back over to the game. Yeah. Sorry. It's as you can tell, I'm kind of new to streaming. It's a whole different thing trying to focus on making a game and actually talking about it once a week in a way that is useful to a newcomer and doesn't involve forgetting to switch screens. So you were saying it's missed the bug. Oh, what bug? Oh, the bug was just a loading screen error. It was just hanging. Not really sure why. It sort of seems to happen sometimes on first load. So yeah, if and when you pick up the demo on Tuesday, if you end up with like 100% load screen that just sits there for more than 2 minutes, I mean, it depends on how fast your computer is, just close the build and reopen it, and actually it seems to then load very, very quickly. Like for me, within kind of 3 to 5 seconds after you hit the start mission button. So yeah, but you're asking, what about this this kind of replacement fictional name for the kind of Google Glass type things, and we've got this iOS thing. So here we can hit view, and you get the document on how to get yourself around the Black AR hacking toolset. Black iOS is a security and penetration testing focused distro of the commonly used open source Arch-based augmented reality operating system iOS. The repository contains 9,003 tools to date. You can install tools individually or in groups via the mods window. Aha! You see us sort of crossing the fourth wall a little there? And there's a clue there, because all of you who are interested in modding, hopefully will be able to make your own hacking tools to add to the fictional operating system in the game. It's pretty straightforward. It's not the first thing you might learn to mod, but it's pretty good. Anyway, this is a basic sort of documentation thing that gives you some clues on how to use the tools. And here they are down the left-hand side. The first one that we'll use is the Spectrum, which shows you data view. A few of you folks will have seen this before, but as I always do, I sort of recap things a little bit. Then we have the data utility that allows us to read the data more clearly, save and delete it. This build has some performance issues that we're addressing at the minute. We had essentially a lot of AI planning going on all at once. Give me a sec, I've just got to check something. There you go. If I do that and move my windows around, hopefully won't make the mistake of not moving the right window on for you all to check things out. So the thing I was going to show you all that I've been working on is this light monitor tool, which we've had in the game for a little while, but I've been tweaking the lighting settings so that it's easier to hide. You can see, like, well, easier to hide in the right location. So yeah, you can see we're in 3.1% darkness. I've been trying to address this build because everything's a bit too dark. So yeah, I've been trying to fix some of that stuff up and make sure that that it's easier to be spotted, which obviously makes the game a little harder, but makes for more fun gameplay. So yeah, we are on our way through here into the bathroom. I'm gonna SSH this hand dryer, and then I'll show you a bit of sneaking in and out of the light. Downloading the user logs, system information, continuous test. Yeah, there we go. So we've hacked into the hand dryer. because its credentials were all default. So the name of the game in Off-Grid is finding badly configured devices rather than some kind of epic white hat, wet dream super hack. Although there'll be some of that kind of stuff. There are ODAs and bits of malware and whatever else that you can send through. One of the things that I like that I've worked on sort of tweaking is this view that we've got behind the character. When he's crawling, it's a little tighter, makes it feel a bit more claustrophobic. Yeah, I like it. So, into here, and as you can see, the light monitor up in the top left-hand corner is moving around the place. This is where we kind of get explained to by our hacker guide Smedley. Basically, anything below 5% in the light monitor will mean we can hide more easily. So this isn't a great hiding spot, but if we head over here, yeah, down into 1% light territory, we'll be okay. So this is what I've been working on today, is kind of getting the light balancing right, making these spots a little brighter. As you can see, this spotlight's not bright enough, it's still dark. Yeah, just tweaking a few things along those lines. I've had a lot of doing Kickstarter and admin prep to do as well, so lots of emailing friends and other developers and some press and bits and pieces. So yeah, the build I think is coming along nicely. Anyone who's played this at EGX or anywhere else will hopefully recognise that we've dressed the entire set in more detail. We've expanded some of the areas out. So there's some nice new stuff, even for people who've played the game before. Yeah. Seems a bit hard to see when you're in front of the blue. Yeah, it's not great for kind of running around the whole time. The idea is that you won't run around with data view on all the time, because you'll end up getting traced and leaving network packets around that could get you caught. So essentially, we've got sort of distance. Oh, we've been spotted. Okay, game over. And there's another bug. But that's a good point to stop, because I was actually about to move over to telling you a bit more about the Kickstarter, because that's the thing I've been doing the most work on. So yeah, Tugalore, you're right. Essentially, the blue sort of data view it kind of makes it more difficult to run around the world the entire time, but that's kind of the whole idea. The idea that you're kind of focusing on the networks and the kind of data side of the environment. It's the sort of thing where you try and find a relatively safe corner, because the kinds of operations that you'll need to do while in that data view are more complex, so you need to make sure you're not going to get caught like I just did. So yeah, let's have a look at what I want to talk about. I'm gonna throw up a window, an internet browser window, to have a look at the Kickstarter page with you guys, and see if anyone has any questions. Essentially, we're still in that mode where we can edit a few things. We've got a few days left, so feedback is always welcome as well, especially from you all who have been along for the journey from the early stages and been very helpful in giving us feedback already on what we're up to. So yeah, give me a sec and I'll just work out how I want to do this. Browser wiki browser. Yeah, that'll work. Let's just switch this one to here. Yeah, that'll do. So, the Kickstarter. If anyone wants to check it out at home at their leisure or whatever else as well, there is an easy URL that you can follow, which is www.offgridthegame.com/Kickstarter, which is just a redirect through our website. But it saves me having to give you some long-winded preview token page. Here we go. Looks like we're there. Yes. Ready? Here we go. So this is this is the nice comments that we've had from folks so far. Please do come and leave us some encouragement as well. If you're interested in backing us, like I said, please do jump on the mailing list. But also, I've sort of forgotten to say that there's this little back this project button here and save, and I think that you can essentially get it to, if you're a Kickstarter member, if you have an account, I think you can get it to ping you on Tuesday along with us pinging you, which is always good. Let's put my my face on this here page too. Then it's a lot friendlier, isn't it? And I've gotten a little bit more used to being on camera, so I need a video capture device. There we go. Should be able to see me now. So yeah. The ping is above, the save is a reminder when it's about to end. Oh, cool, okay. So where it says back this project, before it goes live, I assume it will probably, they'll give you a ping then. Great, so I mean, yes, save it if you only want to wait to the end, but like we said, actually, really kind of keen to get everyone who's interested to back us as early as possible, and to make that an intriguing option for you all. There are a couple of really nice early bird tiers. So, like, if you only want a copy of the game and a couple of nice little digital tidbits, which is like a backer badge and some wallpapers, then you can actually get a copy of the game for £8, which is just an incredible deal in comparison to what the release price will probably be, although we're not confirming or announcing that yet. But it'll be somewhere around about the £20 mark. So, you know, you're getting... it might be a little higher, it might be a little lower. We're still playing with those kinds of things, but yeah, you know, £8, phew, you'd be mad not to grab that. But at the same time, if you're interested in seeing the game, and then, you know, if you miss that, there's this other one for £14, and then still, even then, Digital Deviant is going to give you a little bit of a discount from the eventual price. But if you're really keen, then this is probably the one to go for, the Hacker Backer, because it actually gives you access to any expansions or DLC that we release of the game, and the off-grid soundtrack. So again, that's like, you're getting probably what would end up being 40, 50, 60, maybe more, depending on whether we do a lot of paid expansions or not. You know, you're gonna end up getting some pretty good value out of being in this region here. Don't worry, we are planning on expanding the game for free, with free updates as well alongside the paid extensions. The idea is, Off-Grid is quite a big universe to explore in terms of story, and so we are hoping to essentially write nice little side kind of missions or storylines that branch out of the core story that we can add as little add-ons. Forget to ask, what's the backer badge like? In-game item, Discord. Exactly, secondary. It'll be a Discord channel badge. It's not an in-game item per se. It's and partly because the game's not a multiplayer game, so an in-game item is something that obviously you as an individual can enjoy. but you don't really get to show off to your friends or whatever else. So the idea is it can be used as a Discord or a forum avatar, just to say, yeah, this is me. I was backing this early on. That being said, there may well be opportunities for some nice little in-game treats, but not as part of the Kickstarter. And I won't give away too much more than that. So yeah, let me pull up. It's hard for me to keep an eye on the chat and everything else all at once. Just give me a second. Here we go. So then, I guess the most important thing for me to add to the kind of overall goal of the Kickstarter is this idea that we really need you to help shout and get your friends or anyone you know that might be interested in the game along with us. Let's put some music on in the background. That's better. Yeah, I say this more dramatically now. We really need you to get your friends and family members who are hackers. Also, if Nan's a hacker, get her in on the Kickstarter, please. Because I think she'd probably like Off-Grid. She'd probably write some interesting mods. But yeah, it's imperative really for us to aim to get over the 30% mark in the first 48 hours. That means with our goal of 20k on the Kickstarter, that's £6,000. So if you can go and back us as soon as we go live on Tuesday, that's 4 p.m. In the UK. I think it's like 10 p.m. New York, and I don't know what time it is anywhere else. It'd be like an hour later in Central Europe than 4 p.m. It'd be like 5 p.m. Then yeah, essentially backing us straight away is massively helpful. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the fact that we've got this pen tester pledge, and I've already had a few people get in touch saying they're excited that we're doing that kind of first access that we've called it, partly because we had a big bust up about what an alpha or a beta is and whether a game ever comes out of that state anymore if you're going to do continuous development and software as a service and keep updating the thing and keep players with new content post-release. So we decided the easiest way was to avoid that problematic wording and make up our own thing, which is first access. So what is that? That's essentially going to be anyone who backs at that tier is going to get access to builds of the game before launch at a couple of different stages. The initial focus being testing modding tools and expanding kind of mechanics by using the modding tools and building a few things alongside us to experiment with, push up on workshop, talk about what they think is interesting from kind of conceptual perspective in terms of, how do I add a payload to some data? Can I get it to do this? How does a Lua device read this kind of data? So the first point will be relatively technical, but there'll also be some beta testing available. I just said the word beta. First access style testing available to folks who aren't interested in modding as well, because obviously having a look at the content, getting a sense of the feel of things, whether you like the introduction or the onboarding and whether it's sufficiently tutorialized, etc. But yeah, I'm really excited for this tier pen tester. We've even made some fun graphics down the bottom for the rewards. There's your early worm. There's your hacker backer. There's your pen tester. Got a little construction hat on. And there's loads of cool stuff that then continues on. For just 64, you can end up with your name in the game on a device somewhere or as a piece of data. And you'll get a digital making of, which is, I don't know whether I can show you easily. Yeah, I suppose I can actually. Give me a second, this ought to work. Essentially, in my office, there is a whole wall full of slightly mad ideas, mechanical kind of diagrams, how different sketches came together. There's a whole nother wall which I won't show you too much of, but it's got let's say it's an entire wall full of story beats and locations and whatever else, and we've got lots of lovely concept art that comes around that. You'll also see in the features there's something about a secret reveal that will go on during the Kickstarter, and I think anyone who is interested in what that is will enjoy the digital making of, because it's essentially going to show you some of the working process behind things that we designed, concept art building them, discussions and research and all kinds of bits and pieces. So that's quite a nice thing. We then got this char level, which is essentially like a physical rewards tier. It's obviously a little pricey, but it basically includes everything before it. So you've got to remember that's giving you first access, it's giving you your name in the game, the digital making of, and then it's going to give you an off-grid t-shirt, really one of these, a challenge coin. So I mean, anyone who's been to a hacker conference or knows Milliways or anything like that, all those papers just spelled Pepe Sylvia. I don't know what that means. I don't think I've written Pepe Sylvia anywhere. You'll have to explain Tugalore. So yeah, the challenge coin, that's a challenge coin. They're a special edition kind of collector's piece that get made by Milliways, which is like a hacker group, hacker village that go around to different hacker conferences, and they do things like Whiskey Leaks, which is where everyone brings a bottle of whiskey and you drink as much whiskey from as many different places as possible. They do free beer and free food for an entire hacker festival for people. And then we've got a collection of off-grid stickers as well, as your copy of the game and so loads of interesting stuff. Oh, it's an Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference. I have to admit, I only watched the first couple of episodes and got distracted, I guess. Funny stuff, just obviously didn't catch me enough to keep watching it. I assume I probably should. So yeah, we've got loads of stuff here. You can go to the link and have a look. There's like, if you are well in the money, if you bought like if you mined a load of Bitcoin in 2011 when I started coming up with ideas for this game and didn't, then you can easily afford to get your name in the game, become a personalised NPC. You could design a hackable device. You could have your entire likeness modelled by one of our artists and popped in as an interesting character to find. You could get an associate producer credit and come for dinner and a crypto party with us. And you could even get an executive producer credit and come to a hacker conference as well. So there's loads of stuff in there. Needless to say, you can check out more of the interesting gameplay here. Please, if you're interested in the game, like, download some of these GIFs. This one's running a little slow. I think it's because I got no script on the page, so I stopped it. You can essentially get any of these images, stick them on Twitter, stick them on Facebook, share them with your friends. I suppose we should probably just make a page that you can go to find this stuff more easily. Yeah. What else have we got going on? Yeah, I guess back to the pen tester tier. If you purchase this tier, if you back us at this tier, you'll be called on pretty soon. Like I'm not giving actual timescales, but you'll be getting into the guts of the game in not very long, so that you can access what we're working on and help us shape it. So that should be pretty exciting, hopefully. So what are the key things you can do to help us succeed with the campaign? Yeah, as I said before, back fast in the first 48 hours, and that should get us really going. Share with others. Like Kickstarter games say the average backer backs about 20 quid. With a goal of 20k, that's 1,000 backers we need. That's achievable, especially with the audience size that we have. We're lucky enough to have a really cool bunch of folks who pop into the stream, like Tugalor, Tugalau, which you're gonna have to like phonetically spell it for me at some point, because I feel uncomfortable having to say it 4 different ways. Who are in the Discord, who are on the mailing list, who interact with us on Twitter and in other places. So yeah, we're lucky in that sense. Finding 1,000 people that can back the game, I think, is definitely achievable for us. But it's probably only achievable if you folks help shout and nudge your mates who are like, oh yeah, I'm looking for something interesting, or they haven't heard of Off Grid and you haven't told them about it yet, but you think they might be into it. Then that's kind of what we need. Yeah, if you want to share it now, like, please do share this. Go to www.offgridthegame.com/Kickstarter and it will redirect you. And I think even if you just went to the home page, as long as you're on desktop, I don't think it works on mobile. There is a little overlay in the bottom corner that sends you towards the Kickstarter as well on the home page. But /Kickstarter, you should be able to find it fairly straightforwardly. And just tell others that you backed. Ask them to hit that ping me follow button. Social engineering at its finest, telling people that you've done something cool and they should join you. Any retweets, likes, shares, blogs. If you've got a blog, even if you're just a student, you're writing a blog for your university stuff. If you're a game design student or a computer science student and you fancy writing about Off-Grid, like especially if you want to chat to us in Discord, we'll definitely throw you a few quotes and we just want to be all over everyone's social media and what they're up to. So yeah, that's it on the front of the Kickstarter. There's loads of fun stuff on here. If you haven't followed the game from its absolute inception, there's also some throwbacks to some old articles that got written about us in the early days, and it's nice reading them back. Actually, hopefully the game is holding true to what it was showing promise to be even back then. So you've got The Verge. Andrew Webster wrote about us back in 2014, I think. Same with Eric from Killscreen. Eurogamer's a more recent one. Same with Games Master, but they're really nice articles that are worth checking out. Yeah. I suppose that kind of summarizes it. I won't show you too much more of the game because I think I'll probably be leaving that for a stream during the Kickstarter, especially once we have the final build lockdown. I do have to say to folks out there who are coming from our much loved Linux community that the Linux build of the demo is going to be a couple of days later than Tuesday. We're going to just push to Windows first. Obviously, when it comes to the final release of the game, and especially with things like the first access, there'll be a Linux build alongside from day dot. But we just learnt this week that there are a couple of odd changes in Unity that have caused some rendering issues for us, which essentially means that our draw layers are all messed up and everything looks a bit weird. So bear with us. Yeah, Tuesday the 9th, the Windows build will be out, and then hopefully just a couple of days later, the Linux Ubuntu build will be out. Feel free to hammer on at us about it. It's a priority. It's always nice hearing how much you guys want the Linux build, because we're Linux users ourselves, and it's good to hear that people want it. I guess that probably leaves it. I'm gonna finish a little early today. I was gonna run till 6. I suppose I could, if folks are in here have got any questions, like Tugalore in the chat, or any of the folks over in the Discord, any questions about the Kickstarter. I can talk about dev as well. I'm more than happy to talk about dev. My progress on the build this week has been a little slower because I've been trying to manage a lot of this campaign stuff. But Pontus and Steve have been working diligently on stuff. Any questions, anyone? Let me pop over to Discord. Tugalore, you must have some other questions than the just the badges one, and correcting me on where the ping button is on Kickstarter. Hello, I am LeBron James. What? It's so good to have an NBA star in the chat. Big Bear Woods, why are you why LeBron are you hiding behind a handle like Big Bear rather than like LeBron? And then everyone would know who you are. Welcome, I suppose. Are you new to Off Grid? Is this the first time here? I like to be discreet. That's a good point. And to be honest, we make a hacker game. We know about being discretion. Well, pleased to have you. We're actually just finishing up, but I suppose I can just switch over to the game quickly to show you a little bit of what we're making. Just give me a second. So Off Grid, the game we're making is a stealth hacking game. The tagline is "Data is your most powerful weapon." Yeah. Just load this thing up for you. There we go. This is the game we're making, LeBron. I'm a big fan, by the way. I used to play a lot of basketball myself, so it's quite cool to have an NBA superstar in here. So yeah, this is a hacking game where essentially, instead of any kind of watchdoggery where you're collecting RPGs that you've 3D printed to splat nannies with, you're actually collecting hacking tools that you can use for your AR, augmented reality glasses that help you visualize the networks. So we'll swing through this chat. This is a hacker who's guiding you through a bunch of things. All this stuff is moddable as well, so you can write your own scripted conversations, branching in whatever direction you want if you're making your own levels. But yeah, we have this data view that allows us to view data on different networks. We can read and save stuff, so we'll save that one there. And we start to essentially profile different guards in different buildings and different areas in order to work out how to best manipulate them. So he's left his ID card on the table there. We'll just scan that. Get in here. Guess the conversation. Well, that's I mean, you can skip through it fairly fast. It just needs shortening, really. You don't want people to be able to skip the entire conversation, because there are a few choices that you make in that conversation that may set some other things up. So people completely skip it. They won't actually know the consequences of some of their choices. The text messages. Yeah, definitely. No, I got you there. I mean, it's just in terms of skipping the text messages, it's probably more on us as the devs to make sure it's not a massive wall of text all at once. So here we go. There's some networks that we're viewing the packets moving across. The different colors of different NPCs doing different stuff. Does anyone have any questions? Here's the dude hiding around. Two of them. We can turn this helper app off so you don't have to be told where the door handle is. And then I guess the kind of the thing that, if you haven't seen it before, Big Bear, I think Big Bear might have gone. How many? Oh, Sugalo, I've missed your question. How many states of failure can the player go through before it's a total game over? We've actually built it to be pretty easygoing on you from that perspective. So if you get tased by a guard, it's not going to. It's kind of a bit more like Metal Gear Solid, where you don't, there's no complete failure. You just restart in a kind of location nearby. We've got sort of checkpointing throughout the game. So there you go. And Pontus is explaining some stuff about how the messages could be dealt with differently in the game as well. Essentially, he's just saying we've discussed the option of just making random choices for people who skip conversations. That would allow us to let people skip them fully. And we're just going to see how it goes. It's another reason to get in on the pen testing tier on the Kickstarter, because essentially then you'll be able to tell us whether you like how that is working, if we implement something along those lines. There you go, like Pontus says, that's all the intelligence you get is from the messages. So if you skip them here, there's no mini-map that shows you where you are. There's not a whole lot of stuff to tell you what you need to do next, other than this character directing you. You can kind of go through here and you can review your conversations, but then you're just reading them again anyway, so you might as well read them the first time. We'll try and make them interesting enough that you will. It's just that as someone, as a dev who is trying to show you through other bits and pieces, it's easier for me to skip it. Show all messages until the choice shows up. Actually, that is kind of what we're doing. So I was skipping through them to move through them a little faster. So yeah. And on fail states, if you get tasered, although I had to cancel us out there because we've got an issue with the checkpointing and the game crashing essentially as you get tased in this build, which hopefully won't be the case in the next build. Then essentially you get tased around here, you'll get restarted in the kitchen we just walked through. If you get tased a little further down after you've connected to the server in the server room, then you'll end up getting restarted down in the basement. So there's different checkpointing places. There we go. Let's hack into this espresso machine just for a bit of fun quickly. Less button presses. I see. Yeah. Right, so like if you held, instead of hitting B to skip a message, if you held B, it might skip all the way through to the next choice. That's a nice option. You can definitely look at that. So this is a pretty basic device that I've broken here, and it just does a little squirt of steam and some coffee. So you can obviously set that up as a little bit of a trap for getting a guard a little later on. This guy. Hopefully you guys are enjoying seeing some of this stuff. I mean, I think that this is looking really nice now. The lighting and everything else coming along really nicely in the game. Yeah. And I think this is probably a good place to stop. The man in green. Yep, if you're interested in playing, there's going to be a demo ready for you pretty soon. So keep your eye out. On Tuesday we'll be announcing the demo and the Kickstarter. You'll be able to get your hands on a little taster of the game and let us know what you think. That's going to be one of the exciting things as well. Is once people, we've obviously had people play testing the game, and we've been to conferences like EGX and GDC. We've demoed the game out as well. But it's a different thing when it's over the internet and you're not there as a developer in case someone gets stuck, which generally speaking we've been good at sort of going hands off and letting people get stuck and get lost, because half of the fun of playing a game is getting lost and then finding yourself and feeling that you've solved something by working out where you're supposed to go. I guess it's probably time to say thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. I know this one has been a little bit different to the usual dev stream, where I do a little bit of modding and show you about some of the internals and the guts of how the game works. But it's pretty important right now for me to hammer and shout from the rooftops that this Kickstarter is about to happen and we absolutely need your help. So thanks very much for coming by. And I will look forward to speaking to you all on Tuesday and giving you a pat on the back for backing the Kickstarter. Thanks very much, and see you in the Discord.